everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Jess, and on the channel we talk about everything related to gut health, digestive issues, and IBS. And you can tell from today's title, we are talking everything about chronic constipation. I'm gonna go through these root problems, what could be causing your chronic constipation, because I can guarantee you it's not fiber, it's not IBS, it's none of those things. It's something much deeper. But we need to be really open about our bowel movements. We are not going to be shy talking about it because it definitely is one of the most important things about our digestive health. We're not able to go to the bathroom on a consistent basis. We have no way of removing excess toxins and waste out of our body. It's going to lead to a lot of chronic health issues, including things like bloating, gas, fatigue, headaches, brain fog. You name it, if you're not going to the bathroom, it's probably leading to further digestive issues, and also things like bacterial overgrowth, candida overgrowth, SIBO, and more. So in this video, we are going to review the potential root causes for why you're chronically constipated, what those symptoms look like, how can you potentially diagnose and treat this in a holistic way, so it's not just putting a band-aid on your symptoms. As a disclaimer, I am not a doctor, I'm not a practitioner, I am just someone who deals with chronic constipation herself, and I'm working with a naturopathic doctor, so I'm sharing everything along my journey with you guys because I find that it's really helpful to be transparent about what I'm going through, like the good, the bad, the ugly, so you can be empowered to figure out what's going on in your own health. As always, please consult a physician or a doctor if any of these chronic issues relate to you. That way you can get proper diagnosis and treatment. A little bit into my own background, I started dealing a lot with digestive issues after I came back from a study abroad trip. I was virtually fine my whole life. I could eat whatever I wanted. My stomach never really hurt me. I was going to the bathroom consistently. But once I got back from study abroad, that's when things started to turn. I started to get chronically bloated, really nauseous after everything I ate. I was just very fatigued and tired, and this is when a lot of like anxiety and depression just kind of kicked in too. I have seen numerous gastroenterologists, primary care doctors, and I've also worked with a few holistic doctors to really figure out what's wrong with me. I knew the diagnosis of IBS just didn't make sense. It was such like a bullshit diagnosis. So I really wanted to understand like the root problem of what was going on with me and see how I could fix that from a more holistic perspective. That brings in the naturopathic doctor I'm working with, and I was actually diagnosed with SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and dysbiosis within my gut. I have a whole video on my page on why I was diagnosed with those things, and I'm sharing every tip I'm learning with you guys so we can go on this healing journey together, because I know how isolating and just depressing it can be to deal with these chronic health issues. So I hope by sharing my journey, I can empower you on your own healing journey so we can find long-term healing. It's definitely not quick and it's not easy to heal your body, but I know the steps I'm taking today are going to contribute to my overall health and wellness down the line. Today, I want to talk about one of the symptoms that I'm still struggling with, even though I have changed my lifestyle and my diet to help me on my gut healing journey, and that is chronic constipation. My girlies who deal a lot with IBS or have been diagnosed with IBS-C or IBS-M, where you just experience constipation for like 4, 5, 6, 7 days, you'll know what I'm talking about. What prompted me to make this video is I have been in Brazil for the past 4 weeks, and I thought that leaving the US, all of my health problems would go away, but that's been far from it. I've been expanding my diet here, eating more things like gluten, dairy, soy, and corn, which I kind of stayed away from for a few months. And I thought being in a different country would be better for me, but my symptoms are still here, and literally just last week I was constipated for like a week. And then I started to go and have things like hemorrhoids, and it's just not a pretty thing. Even though I'm on this like healing journey, I think I should have all the answers because I'm working with this doctor, I'm taking the right steps, but sometimes it feels like I can be regressing. And I want to tell you that even if you continue to experience these symptoms while on your healing journey, you're not regressing in any way. Healing is not going to be linear by any means. Sometimes it's going to feel like you're taking these steps and you're not seeing any results, but that doesn't mean the things you're doing is not working. So just a reminder for you as you're on your healing journey. So my girlies who are experiencing constipation, whether that's every day you have trouble passing stool, your stool is like lumpy and hard, or if you just straight up going to the bathroom fewer than 3 times a week, I don't have to be the one to tell you that you're chronically constipated, and there is something that we ought to do about it. If you're used to working with a gastroenterologist or even your primary care doctor, you've probably heard that you just need to eat more fiber, drink more water, cut out sugar and processed foods. But if you're already incorporating those most basic rules ever for beating chronic constipation and you're still experiencing it, then I promise you fiber is not your answer here. What do we do about the people who have enough fiber in their diet, are not eating ultra processed foods and refined sugars, have enough hydration, and are moving on a daily basis to help get their blood and their digestive system doing? Like, what do we do after we've literally tried everything else? It's not taking a laxative either, because that's just going to be such a short-term solution. You take a laxative in hopes of completely reversing your chronic constipation, you're just going to end up back in square one. Been there, done that. It's just putting a band-aid on your symptoms. At this point, you need to start looking at the root cause of what could be causing your chronic constipation. One reason why you could be chronically constipated is that you have low stomach acid. A lot of people think that stomach acid is an issue if it's too high and you have symptoms like acid reflux, but in fact, the majority of people have low stomach acid and they don't even know that they have it. Stomach acid is crucial in helping to break down the food within our stomach, so that way our small intestine and our bloodstream can absorb the right nutrients. If our stomach acid is too low, we're not able to properly break down food and get that nutrients from the food that we're eating. And so if you have low stomach acid, you can present with other symptoms like chronic constipation, malnutrition, because you're not getting the proper nutrients from your food. You can even experience things like acid reflux. You are often very full right after you eat. You may not have an appetite at all. Of course, the normal IBS-like symptoms like bloating, gas, fatigue, you may have like low back pain, headaches, and indigestion. These are all symptoms that I've been experiencing for years, but low stomach acid was never something that was fully addressed with me. Kind of a double-edged sword too, because if we have low stomach acid, we're also not able to rid of any bacteria that they're going to be able to pass from our mouth all the way through our GI tract, leading to things like bacterial overgrowth, dysbiosis, SIBO, which is something I'm struggling with, and things like candida overgrowth. It's just going to allow bad bacteria into our stomach, and then it's also going to allow undigested food to ferment within our GI tract, causing more gas and more bloating. You see where I'm getting at? There can be a whole array of reasons why you have it. For me personally, I probably have low stomach acid due to a lot of refined sugar and a processed diet that I ate the majority of my life. Like, I grew up in America, I just ate the typical American diet. Also due to just chronic inflammation, also just too much alcohol consumption in college. In addition to some of the causes of low stomach acid, if you use any like protein pump inhibitors or antacids that would reduce the amount of stomach acid within your stomach, that can lead to low stomach acid. Bacterial infections like H. pylori and other autoimmune diseases can lead to low stomach acid. So what do you do if you suspect that you have low stomach acid? There is a test you can perform like within a clinical setting. It's basically you swallow like a scope on a string and they test the pH of your stomach. I didn't go through that personally. I didn't find a need to go through that because of working with a naturopathic doctor. She was able to infer based off of all of my other symptoms that I more than likely have low stomach acid. There is a test that you want to do. You can do an at-home test with baking soda. Just put like a quarter teaspoon of baking soda into like 4 to 8 ounces of water. You drink that, and if it takes you longer than 3 to 5 minutes to burp, then you probably have low stomach acid. You can also do a test with HCl supplements. HCl is one of the components of stomach acid that we have. You take that right before your last bite of food and you feel like you have a lot of indigestion, then your stomach acid is probably good, but if you feel nothing, then you also probably have low stomach acid. So what can we do to treat low stomach acid that will then help with our chronic constipation? One of the biggest differences I've made is taking digestive enzymes with beta-E and HCl. That's going to mimic the gastric juices within your stomach, and it's going to help you properly break down food. Fermented and whole foods like kimchi, sauerkraut, yogurt. Another helpful thing is taking some diluted apple cider vinegar right before a meal. Not only is that going to help with your blood sugar management, but it's also going to help your low stomach acid. Lastly, stress management. I should make a whole new video on tips that will actually help you to de-stress, because coming from a very chronically stressed girly, there's a lot of tips out there that I'm like, I just know that won't work on me. Stress can actually inhibit production of HCl within your stomach, so it's going to stop you from secreting stomach acid. If you're in a stress state right before you eat, your body's not chemically prepared to break down that food, and that can lead to undigested food within your stool and chronic constipation. So being able to reduce your stress and practice mindful eating can also help with low stomach acid. Root cause number 2 of your chronic constipation could be that you have low bile production. Bile is basically a digestive fluid that is created in your liver and stored in your gallbladder, and you need it to help break down any fat that you eat and also any cholesterol within your body. And it also helps absorb certain vitamins. You need it to digest your food. If you don't have enough bile, fat can build up and it can slow down our digestive system, leading to chronic constipation. If you have low bile secretion, that can mimic a lot of the similar symptoms as IBS. So sometimes you may be diagnosed with IBS, but in reality, you just have low bile production. Other symptoms of low bile can be that chronic constipation, diarrhea, and having watery stool. You also have like greasy, foul smelling poop, maybe it floats. If there's anything you take away from this, it's look at your poop today. You can also have things like fatigue, acid reflux. Hi, talk about poop. You may also have like jaundice, which is yellowing of the skin because you're not getting essential vitamins and nutrients that you need. Definitely, I would work with the doctor to diagnose if you have low bile secretion. I don't think this is something you can just do on your own. Your doctor can order something called, I think it's called like a C-hatch test, or a blood test testing for your C4 enzyme levels. So there is some type of blood work test that you would need to do in order to diagnose low bile secretion. Looking at holistic ways to treat low bile, since it is formed in your liver and stored in your gallbladder, you would want to find ways to support the function of your liver or the function of your gallbladder. One way to do that is, I know it probably sounds crazy, to do that is with warm water and lemon juice in it first thing in the morning when you wake up. Low bile production or not, I started to incorporate this and saw a really big difference in how my digestive system functioned throughout the day, because it just kind of helps to flush everything out. To support your liver, you want to include more bitter foods within your diet, things like dandelion, fenugreek, any like cruciferous vegetables like kale, broccoli, leafy greens. These types of foods are said to stimulate bile production. And then also to support your liver, foods like beets, radish, milk thistle tea, those are really good at supporting your liver. And then lastly, shifting your diet to a low-fat, high-protein diet. I think just incorporating a high protein diet anyways is really going to support your body's digestive system, but then also hormonal function. Moving all those saturated fats and only incorporating healthy fats like avocado oil, olive oil, fish, and nuts is going to support your body during this time and possibly help increase your bile production. Root cause number 3 is dysbiosis. This, alongside with low stomach acid, is part of the reasons why I experience chronic constipation pretty frequently. Dysbiosis is essentially an imbalance within your gut microbiome of good and bad bacteria, so you could have too little or too much of it. Our microbiome within our gut is composed of trillions of microorganisms. It's different from person to person. It's very delicate, and any imbalance within your life can throw it off, leading to a slew of digestive issues. Your gut microbiome begins to form the minute you are born, and it even depends on the way that you were born, either vaginally or through a C-section, which I find absolutely crazy. And your gut microbiome is influenced a lot by your genes, your environment, your diet, and your lifestyle choices. Similar to these other root causes, dysbiosis can be caused for a number of reasons. For myself, it's very similar to why I have low stomach acid. It's going to be overuse of antibiotics as a kid, having that typical American diet where there was a lot of refined sugar and processed food, chronic stress within my life, and then also the overconsumption of alcohol. This threw off my gut microbiome and is what led to all of these IBS-like symptoms, including chronic constipation. These symptoms really suppressed my overall immune system, so my body wasn't able to fight off any bad bacteria or microbes that were coming into my body, and they just kind of made themselves at home and have taken over. Some of the other reasons why you may have dysbiosis is if you were exposed to things like mold or viruses abroad. If you've had things like traveler's diarrhea or Bali belly, you could be more susceptible to dysbiosis. And then also parasites can contribute to dysbiosis. Having an imbalance within your gut microbiome can also lead to overgrowth of other bacteria. So I mentioned I'm struggling with SIBO. That's because of the dysbiosis within my gut. I also struggled with candida overgrowth in the past. that can be a sign and symptom of dysbiosis. When we have a microbiome that's not strong enough to fight off these microbes and fungi, and they're able to just kind of overtake your gut, it will allow more bad microbes and fungi to make their way in, and this cycle just kind of continues. Other symptoms you can show whenever you have dysbiosis can be very similar to those of IBS. So that's why I say if you've been diagnosed with IBS, you should dig a little bit deeper, because you probably have things like low stomach acid, low bile production, dysbiosis, etc. You can also have other symptoms of like brain fog, fatigue, nausea, acne, joint pain, sugar cravings, the list goes on and on. But what do we do about this? How do we diagnose this, and how do we treat dysbiosis as a way to reverse our digestive issues and chronic constipation? At this stage, it's really important to kind of like look under the hood of what's going on. So this is whenever you would want to incorporate different stool tests to see the type of dysbiosis you have, because it's going to be very telling for the type of treatment that you will do. I have taken several stool tests, found that it's helpful to do these every couple years, so you can tell how you're progressing along your own healing journey. The last one I took was from Direct Labs, and it was the GI Map Diagnostic Solutions Kit, and it provided a whole panel of different GI markers, took an overall look at my intestinal health, and did a survey of different microbes, parasites, fungi within my gut. It was very telling to the type of dysbiosis I have. And I have to say, it still showed I had dysbiosis. I had an overproduction of good bacteria. I also had an overproduction of bad bacteria. And it's helping me to kind of reshape the protocol that I'm on now. As far as treating dysbiosis, it may look different for you based off of the type of bacterial or fungi overgrowth that you may have, but I think most practitioners take the same approach. It's going to be the removal phase, the repair phase, and the replenish phase. And I'm actually in my replenish phase right now. I definitely go into more detail about this in some of my other videos detailing my SIBO journey. So if you want more information on the exact protocol I'm on, you can check those out. But just to give you a brief synopsis, the first phase is going to be removal of that bad bacteria. So you may need to change your diet. You also may incorporate different antimicrobials with things like oregano, wormwood, and berberine in it to really dispel of that bad bacteria. The next phase is going to be the repair phase. So you want to do everything to kind of repair your gut lining. You want to incorporate foods that have things like L-glutamine in it. That's really going to help repair the gut lining of your stomach. Bone broth is a great thing to start incorporating in this stage. Maybe some anti-inflammatory foods and supplements that are going to help reduce overall inflammation within your body. The last phase is the replenish phase. That is the phase I am currently on, and you're going to want to take this time to rebuild your gut microbiome, replenish it with all of the good bacteria that it's missing. You may incorporate a high-grade probiotic during this time. You may be able to reintroduce some foods that you had to previously eliminate. So that's going to be the general basis of how you overcome dysbiosis. Again, everyone's healing journey is going to look different, and I have to say, it's not going to be done within 3 months, 6 months, even a year. Like, I am almost a year into this protocol and I still feel very far from healing sometimes. Take time, and again, give yourself a lot of grace on this journey, because you're not going to notice change right away. You're going to begin noticing it like 1 year, 2 years down the line. Now we are at root cause number 4. This one is definitely a lot more broad, and it would be really helpful if you are able to work with a doctor or practitioner who can walk you through this. But I just want to give you a full picture of what could be causing your chronic constipation, and that's going to be metabolic dysfunction and hormonal imbalances. A metabolic dysfunction is sometimes a term thrown around within holistic health, but what does that actually mean? Metabolism is pretty much any process within your body that is going to produce energy. It can be things like the synthesis of hormones within your body, all the way to the breakdown of food and conversion of that into energy. It encompasses a lot of different systems. Any change or disruption to your metabolic pathways are going to impact your overall health. And this metabolic pathway can be happening within your digestive system, within your liver, your thyroid, your reproductive organs, etc. If there's a blockage or a break within that, it's going to lead to a lot of other symptoms and even further illnesses and diseases. Our gut microbiome is where a lot of these metabolic functions take place, and so if your gut is impacted, it's going to impact some of these other processes. So without the right bacterial makeup of your gut microbiome, you're not going to be able to synthesize important hormones or amino acids needed for these metabolic functions. Stay with me now. So some of the most common types of metabolic dysfunctions can be things like insulin resistance, which can lead to things like prediabetes and type 2 diabetes, and also hormonal imbalances, which can lead to things like hypo and hyperthyroidism, and also PCOS. I know these are a lot of buzzword and diseases thrown out there, but essentially, if your metabolic pathways are disrupted by anything, you can have things like chronic constipation and these IBS symptoms. It's difficult to list like all of the symptoms that you could have because there's so many different types of metabolic disruption within your body. But just to give you an example, I know like symptoms of insulin resistance. Maybe you have weight gain, you're not able to properly break down and digest your food. You have fatigue, increased appetite, and also constipation. How are we going to diagnose and treat this? I think working with a doctor is going to be your best bet. You'll be able to order different tests, such as hormonal panels, to really take a look at what's going on. But I want to give you some basic treatments of what you can do if you suspect that you have a hormonal imbalance or a metabolic disruption within your body, because I know I definitely do. One of the best things you can start looking at is your blood sugar management. Again, I can make a whole separate video on this. I love following the glucose goddess. I think she talks about blood sugar management in such a digestible, not to make a gut joke, but in such a digestible manner that it's super easy to start incorporating today. Essentially, blood sugar management, you want to avoid those spikes and crashes throughout the day because that can lead to insulin resistance. So you want to be able to have a balanced meal with whatever you eat, so incorporating healthy fats, proteins, and carbs into your diet. The other thing you can do too is different supplementation. Again, this is going to look different for everyone, but I have found one of the best supplements you can start to incorporate is magnesium. A lot of people are deficient in magnesium, especially if you're on things like hormonal birth control, and it's one of those micronutrients that we need to help us go to the bathroom. Magnesium citrate is something I take almost every night. Not only does it relax my body and help me fall asleep, getting deeper rest at night, but it also has a bit of a laxative effect, like the most mild thing ever. We are moving into the last root cause of your chronic constipation. Final root cause could be peristalsis. Peristalsis is an automatic system within our body. It's basically the contractions of muscles and nerves within our GI tract help move food from your mouth all the way out. This automatic process can be influenced by our overall nervous system. The vagus nerve is one of the major nerves that runs throughout our body, and it is a vital link between our brain and our digestive system. It's going to coordinate this peristalsis that's happening. When our body perceives danger, this can be from external stress like work or school, or internal stress like trauma. Our vagus nerve can be triggered, putting us in a fight or flight mode, and this can ultimately impact peristalsis. Chronic stress can disrupt the interplay between our nervous system and our digestive system, and this can lead to hypermotility within our digestive system, so we're going to digest food way too quickly, leading to things like diarrhea, or it can lead to hypomotility, so we're not moving things quickly enough, and lead to constipation. And then from this, we can have further motility and digestive issues arise, potentially leading to things like chronic constipation or bacterial overgrowth because we're not able to clear out waste on a consistent basis. There is a way to help regulate peristalsis and your nervous system whenever you eat. It's not really what you're eating, but it's how you're eating it. I found one of the best ways is to activate your vagus nerve, so that way you're leading your body into a rest and digest state, and you're able to properly break down your food and help keep it moving. You can activate your vagus nerve through things like mindful eating, meditation, belly breathing, and if you want to take it a step further, you can even get things like acupuncture or chiropractic care to help overcome chronic stress and allow your body to move into that rest and digest state. So if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for sticking around. You can follow more of my journey on TikTok and Instagram at Jessica DeVue, and also on my blog, Healthier Days Ahead, because it's never too late to start your healing journey. Thanks for watching. See you next time.